To order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, members present this evening are myself, Mayor Morrow, Council members Gearboss, CO, Rhodes, McClellan, Tahar, and Dillon. From City staff, we have City Manager Campbell, Clerk Royal, Treasurer Bennett is not here. In her place is Deputy Treasurer McDonough, Police Chief Rennick, DPW Director Fordyce, and Parks and Rec Director Scruggs. The rest of you who are in the audience this evening, if you please sign in the back to my left, I would appreciate that. You have a revised agenda in front of you, or an amended agenda, excuse me. It includes just one new item, and that is under the consent agenda at C-16-08. It's a motion to acknowledge the recommendation from LDFA to confirm the appointment of Mitch Road to the Michigan Broadband Coalition, and you have a corresponding memo from Kathy Corfman dated today in front of you, as well as a memo dated May 19th regarding a follow-up of office survey. And then the other thing that I would like to add to the agenda as a brief discussion item at the end of the discussion portion of our agenda is the downtown parking analysis, which has been discussed. And if there's no additional changes to the agenda, I would seek a motion to approve it as amended.
So moved.
Moved by Dillon, seconded by Rhodes to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. There are no absences to excuse this evening, so we will dispense with that. We move to our one presentation of the evening, which is our annual police awards, and I'll turn it over to Chief Rennick whenever he's ready to go.
Thank you. Every year around this time, the police department hands out awards for extraordinary service. In last council meeting, I believe the mayor, you did a proclamation for Police Week, and that actually began on Sunday the 15th and always is included in that week that includes May 15th. And so I appreciate you doing that, but I also want to share that on the Law Enforcement Memorial, which is in Washington, D.C., there were 123 new names added to that list of officers who died in the line of duty in 2015. And to date, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial bears 20,789 officers who died in the line of duty since the memorial has been in place. 3 officers in Michigan lost their lives in the line of duty, and those were First Lieutenant Arthur Adolph Green from the Michigan DNR, Sergeant Joseph Abdallah from the Detroit Police Department, and Trooper Chad Wolf from the Michigan State Police. If I could we have a moment of silence for those 3? Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I hate having my back to the audience, so I don't know exactly.
You want to take the cordless mic? It's over there by the flat screen.
Hello? There we go. All right. I'd like Manager Todd Campbell to assist as well. This is always a high point of my career, is handing out awards. The first award that we give out is a competition that we do every year, and it's for the Marksman of the Year Award. And this year, the award goes to Jay Basso, so if you'd come forward, please. Jay's been employed by the department for just over 19 years. He serves second in command of the police department, and he's in charge of training and is a taser instructor. The police department has some very competitive officers. Jay outscored last year's winner, Sergeant Hartwig, this year, and this is now the second time that Jay has won this award. So Jay, with a 94%, congratulations.
Thank you.
The second award is for a letter of commendation, and I don't see that Officer Belknap is here. But Officer Belknap has been employed by the police department for the last 2 years, and previously to that he was employed by the Pittsfield Township Police Department for 26 years. And John is also one of our department firearms instructors. In 2015, John received several notes and letters posted thanking him for going above and beyond for his service to the citizens, and I'd like to highlight one of these that I received. And I quote, this is what it said. "Last night I was on my way home from Adrian, Michigan, traveling down Michigan Avenue. There were no working lights on my trailer. An officer in a Tahoe pulled up behind me, and he said that he was concerned that I had no lights and I might get into a rear-end accident. He looked at my license and registration, handed it back to me, and asked me if I wanted to get out of the truck and try troubleshooting the lights. I got out of the truck and we tried to troubleshoot the lights on the side of the road, but it didn't work. So he said, well, why don't we just go back to the police department and I'll hook your trailer. You can go to Walmart or someplace like that, pick up whatever you need to fix it, and then I'll help you reattach the trailer." The officer had a jack in his trailer, I had a jack in my trailer, so I drove to Walmart, and when I returned from Walmart, he was there to help me reattach the trailer for my safety. The concern the officer showed for my safety and others is beyond reason. Don't know many people that would go the extra mile to help somebody like he did. Thanks a lot. Thumbs up to the Saline Police Department. I made a couple of new friends. I believe it's with this type of dedication that our Saline Police Department has the great reputation that do. And John Belknap will be receiving a letter of commendation as well. And then we have three officers who worked together on an incident, and Sergeant Jay Basso, Officer David Ringe, and Officer Chris Bolter. I don't believe Chris is here, so if Dave and Jay, if you'd come forward. Once again, Jay's been employed by the department for 19 years, Dave for 22 years, and Chris for 15 years. On December 14th, 2015, at about 9:57 in the morning, Sergeant Basso was working dispatch while Officers Ringe and Bolter were working road patrol. Sergeant Basso received a call for an armed robbery that had just occurred at Wendy's on Michigan Avenue. He immediately dispatched units and put out a description of the suspect and the direction that he fled. Jay continued to direct efforts from the dispatch center. Officer Bolter was just a short distance away, and he arrived in the area and received information from a witness that the suspect had jumped into a vehicle and drove away eastbound on Michigan Avenue. Officer Bolter had additional information broadcasted which led to the vehicle being spotted a few minutes later by Pittsfield Township units northbound on State Street in Pittsfield Township. The suspect vehicle drove into the Briarwood Mall parking lot and became stuck in the grass area. The suspect ran from the vehicle and was apprehended a few minutes later with the assistance of Officer Bolter. Officer Ringe initially responded to State Street to help with the apprehension of the suspect. However, after enough units were available, he drove back to Wendy's to gather important information which could be broadcast later to other units. After gathering evidence and photographs, Officer Ringe returned to the police department and assisted with the suspect interview. As a result of the team effort by all three of these officers, the suspect was arrested and charged with armed robbery. All the stolen money was recovered as well. Additionally, Sergeant Basso, who performed not only as the dispatcher but as the detective during the time, performed many hours of follow-up investigation which led to the arrest of the second person involved, an employee of Wendy's. Subsequently, he was charged with armed robbery as well. The two suspects are scheduled for a pretrial on June 27th and a trial on July 18th. All three officers worked seamlessly to solve and apprehend two dangerous felons, and all of them are receiving letters of commendations for their actions. Apparently, they're both shy. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Chief, and congratulations to all the award recipients. We appreciate all that you do for us and for the community. Keep up the good work. Congratulations. We move on now to citizen comments on agenda items under the Open Meetings Act. Any citizen may come forward at this time and make comment or question on an item that appears on this agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to speak is requested but not required to state his or her name and address for the record.
Mary Hess, and it's regarding 16100. I was noting that Tifa met, and on the meeting of May 12th, apparently there were 5 of the appointed members to this board absent. And it is a very important commission, and they do handle money, and I think it's important that people that are appointed to the commissions have attendance or, ask why. That's all. I don't know how many members are on the board, but 5 being gone is pretty heavy.
There are additional citizen comments on agenda items? No, then we proceed to the consent agenda. The following consent agenda will normally be adopted without discussion. However, at the request of any citizen or council member, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for council discussion.
Move to approve as presented.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes to approve as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Gearbaugh. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We move on to new business, item 16-102, excuse me, millage rate for fiscal year 17 General Appropriations Act budget. This will be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the May 12, 2016 memo from City Treasurer Bennett regarding consideration of millage for fiscal year 17 General Appropriations Act and to direct staff to utilize the millage rate for fiscal year 2016-2017 of 16.2800.
Move to acknowledge.
Moved by CO, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dillon. I know that Treasurer Bennett is not here. Ms. McDonough, do you care to make any comment? It's pretty self-explanatory.
It's pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions for staff? No, obviously, we've gone over this not at nauseum, but in depth at a variety of work meetings. If there's no discussion, then we'll proceed to vote. It's been properly moved by CO, seconded by Dillon to acknowledge receipt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We move on to new business item 16-103. This is proposed budget for fiscal year 17, which would start on the 1st of July and end on the 30th of June 2017, scheduling of the public hearing. This will be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the May 1st, there's one extra one, May 11th. Okay, that's all right. It's an extra space. May 11th, 2016 memo from Treasurer Bennett, and to approve and adopt or not to adopt the resolution as submitted, setting the public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2016-2017 on Monday, June 6, 2016 at 7:30 with public notice to be given by law.
Move to acknowledge and to approve and adopt.
Thank you, Councilmember Gearbaugh. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I'll let McClellan be the second on that one. Again, Ms. McDonough's pretty self-explanatory. Actually, it's more of a clerk's issue in terms of scheduling. Does staff care to make any comment? No? Any comments or questions from the dais? No, then we'll proceed to vote. It's been properly moved by Gearbaugh, seconded by McClellan to acknowledge receipt and to approve and adopt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We move on to new business item 16-104. This is conversion of 105 Mercury Vapor streetlights to LED. This will be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the May 5th, 2016 memo from DPW Director Fordyce and to approve and authorize or not authorize the execution of the purchase agreement with DTE for the conversion of 105 Mercury Vapor streetlights to LED in the amount of $21,389.
Move to acknowledge receipt and to approve and authorize.
Thank you, Councilmember Gearbaugh. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Tahar. DPW Director Fordyce, do you care to make a comment on this?
Just a quick little description. This will be our third round of LED conversions. Currently, we have 180 LED lights in our street lighting system. This will convert an additional 105 all mercury vapor street lights. DTE is contributing $6,500 of labor to this project, and then there'll be energy efficiency rebates once it's completed of over $4,000, and we'll have a payback period of under 2.5 years.
Very good. Thank you for this positive development. Questions or comments for our DPW Director? Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes.
One question, one comment. Question first, do you know how many non-LED streetlights we will have left after this installation, approximately?
I can do some quick math.
And while you're looking that up, I would just say that the Environmental Commission appreciates the continuing efforts to reduce our electrical use.
So after this project, there'll be 529 of the DTE-owned streetlights. And then, in addition to this project that's going on, the downtown streetlights, the decorative ones that the city owns, those are all being converted to LED. And then we're installing additional LED lights as part of that project too. So that 529 only includes the utility-owned ones.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes. Any additional questions or comments for our DPW Director? Let's start with Ms. Tahar and then Councilwoman Dillon.
Thank you. So
The electricity rate for the LED lights is shown by DTE to be lower. So there was, last year, we had the whole, what shall I call it, discussion about DTE's pricing for LED streetlights. Has that
Right.
issue been resolved?
It hasn't been completely resolved. The rate case that the DTE filed that was going to reduce the savings of LEDs, that has been denied, but the new rate hasn't been settled yet. So the Public Service Commission directed DTE to work with the Michigan Streetlight Coalition, which was a body of communities that came together to debate this issue.
Right.
So that process is going on right now, working on a collaborative process to arrive at what everybody would consider a fair rate structure. So these calculations are based on the existing experimental rates
Okay.
that have been experimental for 7 or 8 years now. Yeah.
So this could change subsequently, and our payback period, if DTE gets its way, could be longer. Is that?
It's possible.
That is a possibility.
It's possible, yeah. Yeah, the details will change when the rate case is settled, but it'll still be a savings.
Right, well, and it's also a savings in the use of electricity
Yes.
as well, so that's good. Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Hart?
That's it, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilwoman Dillon.
Well, the rate increase was one of my questions, and then just some logistics. What's your time frame for install?
These will be completed prior to November.
Okay.
That's-
And the mercury vapor, are those the yellow lights?
The mercury vapor are more kind of a
They're not the-
cold green.
Okay, they're not the bright, stark white ones. Those
They're
are
not-
the new LEDs.
The LEDs are the I wouldn't use the word stark myself, but the ones with the nice color balance, yes, those are the LEDs.
Okay. And what's the life expectancy of the LEDs?
They're in the 20-year neighborhood, easily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Additional comments or questions? Mr. Gearbaugh.
Just to tag on, have we experienced any failure of the lights being replaced?
I think there was one LED unit that went bad, but the maintenance and the ongoing maintenance and replacement of them is part of our monthly tariff. So there's no additional cost to us for those failures.
Additional questions? Councilman Seal.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fordyce, I didn't hear you when you said the 500 and some that are left that haven't been converted belong to whom?
DTE.
DTE?
Yeah, our street lights are all owned by DTE, and we pay a energy and maintenance fee to them for that use.
Okay.
The downtown decorative ones, the city owns those, and we pay an energy fee to DTE.
Okay. What determined who owned them, the city or DTE?
Up until, let's say, maybe 2005, there was a mix, and it basically depended on how a subdivision was developed and came in. So there's different options. You can have the community own the physical asset and pay an energy and maintenance fee to DTE, or you can have DTE own the physical asset and then you pay an energy and maintenance fee. There's also an option where you own the physical part and the city maintains it and then just gets energy from DTE. And we did an analysis, I wasn't part of it, but the city did an analysis in 2005 and looked at how much maintenance costs on city-owned ones were costing us and how much DTE was charging for maintenance. And at that time, we converted them all. Actually, DTE bought the city-owned ones, and so now they're all owned by DTE.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Seal. Any additional questions for our DPW director? Mr. Fordyce, thank you very much. Any subsequent discussion on the motion that's been moved by Gearboss, seconded by Tahar? No, then we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We move on to new business item 16-105. This is community event Vacation Bible School. This will be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the application from First Presbyterian Church and to approve or not to approve the request by First Presbyterian Church to have a community event Vacation Bible School from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on June 20th through June 25th, 2016, and to waive or not to waive the fees.
I'd move to acknowledge receipt, to approve, and to waive, although it should be noted there are no fees.
Very good. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Gearbaugh. Mr. Jacobson, are you here representing the First Presbyterian Church this evening?
I am.
Would you care to make any comment? You don't need to, but I'd like to afford you the opportunity, since you traveled all the way from beautiful Saline Township to be with us tonight.
We look at this Vacation Bible School as a community event. It's open to anybody that wants to come in. We find that through that week, it's just been a real exciting time for the kids. To be able to use a meditation garden as part of the classroom is huge for us. What we're looking to do is to block that street off just long enough so we don't have any kids get damaged. A big part of it is to be able to take them out in that meditation garden. That also means that we would like it with this to put on that you would guarantee good weather. But we'll see what we get. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any questions before we let our petitioner go? No questions? Okay.
Right, can we
Oh.
just clarify that, so in case somebody's looking at the paperwork, that there is a DPW charge? Yeah, there's a $90.
Oh, there is.
Yes.
Sorry.
Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. But Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, that $90 is regular time. Right, it's not overtime. So you may recall for events and such, typically what council has done in the past is if it's regular time, it's during the regular course of the day, so there's not additional cost. But it would be if there were any overtime, which there is not. If there's any overtime, then that's typically what council is charged. It has considered waiving that cost. And so there's not any overtime. This is just in the regular course of the regular business day that they would drop those barricades off, and the volunteers at the church would set them up and take them down each day.
Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions? Ms. McClellan?
I don't know if it's a question necessarily about the barricades and the cost, but is there any foresight on the construction and that road being closed during the construction? Is that going to impact any kind of detouring?
Yeah, I mean, staff has discussed that, but this is for 4 days, 5 days? 5 days. So it's not all day, so like in the evening, for instance, it will be open back up, and so in the morning they'll close it, and at the end of the afternoon when it's done, they'll open it back up. But that was, we had a brief discussion.
Okay.
Additional comments or questions? Mr. Seal?
So the distinction being made between this and a request for a waiver of fees is that there is no additional cost to the city for this, is that correct?
Correct, and I would actually, I would say that the waiving of fees probably is, we shouldn't have had that in there. We should, because again, there's not a fee, it's regular course of business, just like we wouldn't charge anybody regular course of business, except for when we rent the showmobile, when we have to deliver that, then we charge for that, but because you have to, especially when you go out of town and those types of things, there's time. It takes two of our DPW employees to deliver it to wherever it is, usually in southeast Michigan, and then set it up. But again, this would be regular course of business, so no additional. The city is not, traditionally in the past, has not charged when it's the regular course of business.
if you'd like, I don't know if an amendment is required, but tell me what you have in mind.
I was just thinking of stopping the motion after June 25, 2016, period, based on city manager's comments.
We can certainly do that, Mr. Rhodes. Are you comfortable with that, Mr. Gearbaugh? Okay. Well, again, formally in Robert's Rules of Order, we would vote on that, but since the mover and the seconder don't object, unless there's disagreement from the dais, we would just strike the word and end at fees. So all that would be eliminated. Is that clear to everyone? And there's no objection from the dais? Then we'll proceed without objection. So everyone's clear on the amended motion? Okay. If there's no further discussion, then we'll proceed to vote. It's been properly moved by Rhodes, seconded by Gearbaugh. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Taylor. We move on to new business item 16-106. This is National Joint Purchasing Agreement. This will be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the May 10th, 2016 memo from Parks and Rec Director Scruggs and to approve and authorize or not authorize staff to apply for the National Joint Power Alliance Cooperative Purchasing Enrollment Agreement.
To acknowledge and to approve and authorize.
Thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh. Is there a second? Seconded by McClellan. Ms. Scruggs, the floor is yours.
Thank you. The National Joint, the NJPA, I'm going to say that instead, otherwise it's a mouthful, is a national purchasing cooperative similar to My Deal, MI-Deal, which is a state cooperative purchasing group. And the reason that I'm requesting this, I've been working with Miracle of Michigan. It's a playground company. We have in this year's budget to replace the Teff Park play structure, and it was brought to my attention that money was in there near the end of this fiscal year. So we're on a kind of a fast track to get that project completed before June 30th. And Miracle of Michigan, which is a playground company that we've purchased almost every piece of playground equipment from, our benches and picnic tables and so on and so forth. Very reputable company here in Michigan. They have been vetted and they are one of the vendors for the NJPA. And to take advantage of that already pre-bidded equipment, we, the city, would have to become a member of NJPA, which is, there's no fee for that. We had our city attorney take a look at the agreements and look through the vetting process and has agreed that this is a viable thing for us to take advantage of if we'd like to. So I'm requesting that you would allow us to apply for membership to this, and then we can proceed with the purchasing of the play equipment.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Scruggs. Are there questions for our Parks and Recreation Director? Mr. Gearbaugh, please.
Just real quick, I mean, as long as we do our due diligence as to checking prices, I think, if this is cheaper, this is what we would go with anyways, but.
Correct.
Thanks. Okay.
Additional questions for Director Scruggs? Carla, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes.
An indirectly related question, where are we with the Brecken Park play structure?
We're about $34,000 short of purchasing for that play structure. We last Friday we had the Firehouse Friday, and Donovan Gillow was there. We had created a nice board for him to talk with and show off. Over the summer we're going to be doing some additional fundraising at community events like Movies in the Park, concert series, and so on and so forth. We've talked with some people that grew up in that neighborhood who are adults now, trying to tap into the nostalgia of their old playground and stomping grounds. And we're talking about maybe having like an ice cream social fundraiser or something at Brecken Park, or a wiffle ball tournament or something to that effect to try to beef up the fundraising efforts for that. So we're still a little ways off, but we're getting there.
Would joining this purchasing agreement change the amount that we need to raise?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes. Additional questions for our Parks and Rec Director? No, Carla, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any subsequent discussion on this? No, then we'll proceed to vote. It's been properly moved by Gearbaugh, seconded by McClellan, to acknowledge receipt and to approve and authorize. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We move on to new business item 16-107. This is awarding of cleaning services contract, This will be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the May 10th, 2016 memo from City Manager Campbell and to approve or not to approve a 3-year contract with Toscano and Associates for a base amount of $73,164 per year as presented, and to authorize or not authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the contract.
Move to acknowledge and to approve and authorize.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes. Is there a second?
Yes.
Seconded by CO. Thank you, sir. Mr. Campbell, do you want to go over your memo and then we'll open it up for questions?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as you may recall, beginning of 2016, we came to council because the previous folks that provide the janitorial services for the rec center, municipal building, and DPW facility, their quality fell off quite dramatically in a very quick amount of time. So we ended that agreement, that contract, and for temporary, we brought in Toscano and Associates. They're again a local company here based in Saline, provide cleaning services throughout southeastern Michigan. So then the plan as it has come together, they came on board and providing these intermediary services for us until we could begin a long-term agreement beginning July 1st. So we've bid this out. We had 2 bidders. Toscano and Associates is again who's the current provider, and then RNA Facilities Management. As you can see in my memo, you have Toscano and Associates at $73,164, RNA at $89,868. Toscano and Associates has provided very top quality cleaning services since they began in early February. And of course, as some of you have heard me, I call the rec center kind of our flagship when it comes to cleaning services. Certainly all of our facilities need to be clean, absolutely, for sure, but that is the rec center is the one place that if it's not clean, our members will tell us, and certainly we could potentially lose members, and we don't want to do that. So I know Ms. Scruggs is very happy with the services that they've been providing. I know Mr. Fordyce is very happy with the services they've been providing out at DPW, and I know the staff here, both police as well as administration side, City Hall, have been very positive for the cleaning. Just for anecdotally, they clean the tops of the dividers, the cubicles. That's not happened. I don't know that in the almost 9 years that I've been here. So they do that, and they also they clean the plants. Right, they dust the plants, and so it's just those little things. And then they do the big things well too. But we've been very happy with those services, and so it made it a pretty simple, we thought, for our city team of Chief Rinnick, Parks and Rec Director Scruggs, DPW Director Fordyce, and myself to choose them. One, there's about $16,000 difference. And plus, they're a known commodity. We know that they do a great job, so be happy to answer. Obviously, our recommendation is to award the contract to Toscano Associates. It is slightly increase, not quite 8.5% higher than what we currently have, but the current agreement with Toscano runs through June 30, and so then if they were to be approved as a long-term provider for cleaning services, then the new price would begin then July 1st.
Questions for City Manager Campbell. We'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes.
City Manager, I'm assuming that current rate that we have with Toscano and Associates is there because that was the rate of the previous contractor?
Yes, sir.
Which wasn't satisfactory anyway, so to get better service rate percent, that's good. And Toscano and Associates is a local company. I appreciate that.
Anything else, Mayor Pro Tem?
No, that's it.
Mr. Gearbaugh and then Ms. McClellan, then we'll work our way to the other side of the dais.
I just need clarification on the reassurance of the background reviews and checks of the employees and how that will be handled.
Certainly, they have to come in and be fingerprinted and background checked at our police department for anybody that's going to work at any of our facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That was my question as well.
Your question as well?
Is it every employee of the Toscano and Associates that's going to come and do that?
That is
So if there's any changeover or anything like that, they're going to have to come and do that?
Correct. We have a list of names, and if somebody shows up that's not on the list, we don't allow them to work.
And they get cross-checked, I assume, with registries and all that kind of thing?
Correct.
Anything from this side of the dais? No? Mr. CO, please.
I just note that in the proposed, for the draft contract, there are no prices for floor cleaning, carpet cleaning, are those yet to be negotiated?
Those are, that's why I put in here, so the $73,164 per year for 3 years in cost for special cleaning items such as carpet cleaning. So those are all very similar to what they are now. But again, the base rate of the 73, I mean, that's the lion's share of the cost.
Right, I noted that. I just saw where 1 and 2, there were a bunch of blanks, but it came to a rate.
Anything else, Mr. CO?
No.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Dillon, do you have a question?
I'm just going to piggyback on that. Is there a schedule as to how often this is done? I mean, there are there's like one that says twice annually, but the rest of them, is it at their discretion or is there a schedule?
No, there's a schedule. There's about 20 plus pages worth of step-by-step instructions for all 3 of the buildings, and I just didn't think that council was.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure it was not at their
Yeah,
discretion.
some are quarterly, some are annually. Oh, there's the scanner right there. So I don't know if Cornelius.
Cornelius, we're actually discussing the cleaning contract at the moment. Do you care to make any comment? We would welcome that.
Good evening. No comments. We've been doing it since February, and we're just trying to do the best we can for the city of Saline.
Very good. So far, so good. Staff's been very pleased. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Additional questions or comments from the dais? No?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I think I kind of got cut off when I saw Cornelius walking in the door. But there's some things that are quarterly, some things that are twice a year, some things once a year, and it just depends. But yes, those are all. Now, I mean, depending on budgets and those types of things, but we do try because we want to maintain, right? We want to maintain the flooring and that type of thing. So, windows I think is twice a year, and so. But yeah, so they're spelled out in that 20-plus page addendum has all of the frequencies of those specific items.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I do want to comment that because most people don't see, DPW is extremely clean. You'd never know there was big trucks in there.
Additional comments? Anything more than before we proceed to vote? Well, it's been properly moved then by Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes, seconded by Councilmember CO to acknowledge receipt and to approve and to authorize, to approve and to authorize. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, perfect timing. We move on to the discussion portion of our agenda. How about commission, committee, or task force reports from council members? Ms. Tahar.
Yes, thank you. The Arts and Culture Committee has joined forces with the 212 Arts Center to sponsor an event called Knit One Bike 2, and it will be running from May 24th through August 1st. Yarn Bomb bicycles will be in locations around Saline, and people will be encouraged to go around and visit them, take a selfie, post to a website, and to go to all of the locations and then enter a drawing for prizes that will be awarded at Summerfest. So the Arts and Culture Committee participated in this by providing some funding for publicity and the printing up of cards and maps. 212 was looking for something fun to do during construction season. If you were at the Relay for Life on Saturday, you got a sneak peek at one of the bicycles, which was displayed there. So I have advance copies of the cards that participants can use, will be using to participate. And I've got a copy for everybody, so I'll pass those around. Thanks.
Thank you. Additional Commissioner Committee reports. Mr. Seal.
Yes, last week the ZBA met, approved a variance. I believe it was from MMI or MMA?
MMI.
MMI, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Out in the industrial park to encroach on the side yard, the side yard variance, or the side yard setback. They applied for a variance so they could encroach on the side yard setback. They want to expand their manufacturing capacity there. They want to add a fairly significant, I think about a 50,000 square foot addition onto their building. Apparently they're thriving. They manufacture plastic parts, molded parts, for a number of different industries, truck industries and other manufacturing firms for various parts and fixtures and so on. And look forward to them continuing to prosper in our community. I guess they had a choice of either increasing their size here or moving their operation to Mexico. So they opted to stay here, and I think it's a definite plus for the community.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilman Seal. Additional committee, commissioner task force reports. Mr. Gearbaugh.
Planning Commission will be meeting on the 26th, I think it is, to discuss the final site plan approval for the development on Monroe Street. That would be, I can't recall the name of that one.
Curtis Bluff.
Curtis Bluff, yes. The property that backs up to the Curtis Park.
You good? Well, if there are no other commission, committee, or task force reports, how about reports or other announcements? Mr. Gearbaugh, and then Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes.
Just real quick, I want to encourage everyone to come out to the farm. The farm's now open. We've got 3 little lambs, chickens, geese. I think there's a pig now, actually. 2 pigs? Are there 2? I wasn't sure what we had right now. So it was a little cold last Saturday, but I think it's getting to a point where everything's starting to show up. And the other thing is we appreciate the fence and everything being painted white. Janet Dillon's daughter was instrumental in having that finished up, and it's looking really good.
Good. Mr. Rhodes?
Yeah, and I have several announcements to run through real quickly here. The first is I wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up on Councilmember Tahar's comment about the Relay for Life that did in fact take place this last Saturday. The weather was not nearly as pleasant as it could have been, but all of the folks who were out there were pleasant. And unfortunately, the event was cut short due to the weather, and so the luminaries were not used in the evening as they would typically have been. And so the folks who have organized that are going to come up with another date to use the luminaries. And there have been several suggestions, comments made, but to be done before the end of summer. And so look for further news on that. Saline Area Social Services having their open house this Saturday from 12 to 2, I believe it is. And it would be good for those of us who can to show support for that organization. The Stone and Thistle Garden Club is having their plant sale this Saturday down at the Senior Center. And I'm not sure, but I think it's like 9 to 2 or 9 to noon. But plants go quickly, so if you're interested, you need to get there right away. Anyway, and the last thing that I wanted to mention was that the LPGA, Ladies Professional Golf Association, tournament is taking place next week. And we have an interested participant there. Is it Marla Scruggs' niece, I believe it is?
My niece, Sarah Hoffman, who went to Saline High School, is playing in it.
Very cool.
And they are looking for volunteers to staff various booths, tents there, with an opportunity to earn some funds for a designated nonprofit. Volnick tournament, I think it's called. Volnick. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Additional reports or announcements? I have two. You should have received an email and a press release announcing my 5th annual senior conference, which will be held at the Saline Senior Center on June the 10th. You are welcome to attend. You just need to RSVP to the front office at the Senior Center. It's an all-day affair beginning with a breakfast at 8. Program begins at 9. There'll be some breakout sessions, a government panel, and then lunch and entertainment around noon. Everyone is welcome. It's geared towards seniors. You don't necessarily have to be a senior. It's absolutely free, but it is first come, first serve. So if you're interested or you know somebody who's interested, please tell them to RSVP to the Senior Center as soon as possible. Again, that's Friday, June the 10th. Program begins at 9. Breakfast is served at 8. And on a much lighter note, I was reminded, actually earlier today, that Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes celebrated a birthday yesterday. I don't know how old, but I do know that he can run circles around people half his age. And I should have brought it out, but the pastry chef at Whole Foods made up something special for you. So I will be giving that to you before you leave tonight. So happy birthday. Hope you had a nice day.
Thank you, I did.
If there are no other reports or announcements, how about the Environmental Commission Sustainable Office Survey? Who's taking the lead on this?
Well, I had thought our commission chair might be here, but...
Okay, you want to take the lead on it?
Yes, I will, as
Okay.
council liaison, unless Councilmember Tahar looks like she might.
I'm not.
You're not?
I'm
Okay,
not
wow.
prepared to talk about it. I
Mr.
know
Rhodes,
about it.
we can also wait and try and get somebody for a future meeting. It's whatever your
fine.
preference.
It's
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
Okay.
This is an office survey of the offices within the city government, not out to the general public. One had been done previously in 2009, and so this current one is structured very similar to that one so that we can make comparisons and see where the improvements have happened and how much we've been able to accomplish. There is a link at the bottom of that page for city department heads to go to and complete the survey. I think that's probably enough for now.
Okay, very good. Well, if you have something additional to report in the future, don't hesitate to add it to an agenda. Any questions for Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes? No? Okay, well, the last thing, downtown parking analysis. This is something that City Manager Campbell has messaged in his weekly communiques. As many of you are aware, I think this initiative was spearheaded by Phoenix, who wants to do an analysis of the parking lots in the northwest quadrant of our downtown, hire a professional to see what could be done conceptually in the future. It comes at a cost of about $5,000. Phoenix will be subsidizing a portion of it. They petitioned Saline Main Street to contribute, and Saline Main Street, or the board of Saline Main Street, agreed to contribute $2,000 to that cost. I wanted to bring this forward because I want to make sure I want to be clear, and I want staff to be clear on what the consensus of council is, whether we want to contribute a financial amount or whether we do not. But I just want to be very, very clear on that. It's something that Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes and I briefly discussed earlier this afternoon. And I guess in saying that, I also want to make sure that everyone is aware of what is being proposed, and if not, we can get you the necessary paperwork and background on this issue. Do you want to comment on this?
Well, and I don't know how much other council members know about the proposal. I only had one brief interaction with a gentleman who attended the business development team meeting at Saline Main Street. But the idea is to look at all of those various parcels currently being used for parking and or underutilized for anything in that quadrant of our downtown, and to come up with a plan for how they might be utilized in the future. And it occurred to me while we were going through our work session here this evening that perhaps if this moves forward, one should think about Farmers Market as a location for that area, because there's apparent desire to keep it downtown, if possible, by some folks, and a desire to have a structure by some other folks. So anyway, maybe that could be incorporated. But I think that since Phoenix is funding part of it, Main Street is funding part of it, they're both apparently contributing $2,000, I think it would be only appropriate that the city contribute $1,000 towards that $5,000 total, since this is something that would benefit the community and not just a business.
Okay. I appreciate that, Mayor Pro Tem. Let me take a step back. Is everybody familiar with what's being proposed?
I think it should be discussed and clarified, because my concern, I don't want to take an approach that was taken 20 years ago again. So I want to make sure that everything is clear to all property owners, potentially what's involved and what could be involved.
Well, let me ask this question. I don't think we would need a whole lot of time to discuss this. When we don't have a work meeting currently scheduled, would folks be amenable to going over this issue in depth prior to the start of our next meeting? I think if we had a 7 o'clock work session, a half hour would suffice. And then we can get consensus. If it's consensus not to participate, then it ends there. And if it requires a subsequent motion, then that can be arranged. That won't conflict with that. No. The clerk just reminded me that State Senator Rebecca Warren coordinated through my office. She's having a coffee hour in the conference room, correct?
No.
In here, from what time to what time?
I was under, I think you said 5:30 to 6:30, so, but I did.
Oh, 5:30 to 6:30? Then if we start at 7, that won't be a problem. And I could even communicate to her office. I think she would understand. Okay? So if we had a 7 o'clock work session on the 6th, I know you're not going to be here, Mr. Seal.
You're out of the country.
Okay. We can make sure to thoroughly debrief you on the matter, though.
Thank you. I'll think of you.
Safe travels. Yeah, I'm sure you will. All right, very good. So that's scheduled then. 7 o'clock on the 6th. Is there any other item to be brought forward this evening as part of the discussion portion of the agenda? Ms.
I
McClellan?
had one question on an update on how things are going from the Saline 150 task force. Does anybody know?
Well, Ms. Dillon and I are both on that. Do you want to provide any update? I think you were you at the last meeting longer than I was, or you were at the last meeting for a more abbreviated time than I was? I can't recall. We go to too many meetings, apparently.
I think I came late but stayed longer.
Okay.
Things are moving along very well. There's a lot of big things planned, but we are not making announcements as of yet. But it should be very shortly that those will be announced.
Just for the public information, that October is kind of...
October is the window that there will be probably 2 or 3 large events in October. And there may be one in September also.
I know I'm on the tours and the promotions committee, so I mean, I
Yes.
could speak to those, but I just wanted to kind of just give
And
the public an idea that we are
Yes, there's
working
definitely a
on
lot
things,
of
and there's
in
to
process.
be, you know,
And they're
coming
making
soon.
they're making significant progress on a commemorative book that will be produced. So things I think are certainly moving in the right direction. I think Ms. Dillon was correct and very succinct. So thank you for bringing that up. Is there anything else to be brought forward tonight as a discussion item? No, then we move to public comments. Under the Open Meetings Act, any citizen may come forward at this time and make comment or question to City Council. This public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to speak is requested but not required to state his or her name and address for the record. Are there any citizen comments? There are no citizen comments. Is there any other business to come before City Council? Again, please note we'll have a half-hour work session on the 6th, and then a regular meeting at 7:30, and then a regular meeting on June the 20th, which of course will be here before you know it. If you're around a week, 2 weeks from today, please remember to participate with us in the Memorial Day Parade. We'll have a banner, and of course we're walking from Henny Field to the festivities, the ceremony at Mill Pond Park, not at the cemetery. Strongly encourage you to attend if you are able. There are no absences, so the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn at, how about that, 8:45 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Dillon, seconded by Councilman Seo. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. This meeting is adjourned.